Hello everyone, my name is April, and today I'd like to talk with you about trust. In my work with sex addicts, trust is something that's often a problem in the couples that I see. And trust is something that a lot of couples struggle with, a lot of families struggle with. So I thought it'd be really cool to share a neat metaphor I found. This is a marble jar. Just a simple jar with marbles, but I found it's a great metaphor for working with people and just helping them understand how trust is built, how it's destroyed, and how it can be repaired. So stay tuned and we'll get to the marble jar. As I said, today we're going to be talking about trust and the marble jar. And I happened upon this because I was watching videos on YouTube, and I came across a video by Brene Brown. I love Brene Brown, and I'm going to put the link down below to her trust video on YouTube, and then there's another longer version that I'll put the link to also. But she talked about trust being like a marble jar. And I thought about this and used it with my clients and really found out this is a really useful metaphor. So I'm going to share it with you today because trust can often be a problem in relationships. If you've been betrayed, if you've been lied to, if you've been treated poorly, those are all sorts of things that can erode trust or destroy trust completely. So we're going to talk about this marble jar. And I don't know how many of you are familiar with marble jars, but in classrooms, teachers will often have a marble jar. And at the beginning of the year, the jar will be empty. And as the year goes on, the class has a chance to earn marbles. So maybe the class is all walking in a straight line in the hallway. And so the teacher will give them a marble or two. Or maybe that they've all listened to the instructions and did their homework correctly. So the teacher may give them a marble or two. Or maybe, someone was a really good helper to somebody else in the classroom, and she's like, you know what, that was so awesome, I'm going to give the class a marble or two. And when the marble jar is filled up, the class gets a prize, like a pizza party, or maybe they'll get extra recess or something like that. And so Brene Brown says that trust is kind of like a marble jar. That over time, when we do things that help earn trust, we get marbles. On the flip side, if we do things that are hurtful or that don't show trust is warranted, they're unsafe behaviors, marbles get removed from the jar. Kind of makes sense? It does, doesn't it? Anyway, we're going to be looking at this marble jar and talking about trust. So I want to, for the sake of this discussion, we're going to pretend that I'm talking about a couple, a heterosexual couple, a male who is a sex addict, female is his wife. This isn't always the case. There are women sex addicts just like there are male sex addicts. And like I said, this can apply to any number of things. But for the sake of this argument, it's a male sex addict. And, when he and his wife got married, he had a pretty full marble jar, the wife was able to trust him. But then one day she was looking at his phone, just picked it up to, glance at pictures, trying to find a picture that he had taken. And she happens across a picture of another woman. And it's in a very provocative pose, not really appropriate. And all of a sudden, her alarm bells goes off. And she questions her husband. He denies it. But eventually he lets her know, you know what, yeah, I was communicating with this woman and we exchanged a few pictures and I'm so sorry. You know what do you think happened to that marble jar when that wife found out that, yeah, her husband was sexting with a guy? You guessed it. All these marbles, gone. Yikes. Empty marble jar. All of a sudden, she can't trust him anymore. She thought that he was trustworthy, and he's showed her wrong. So now the the impetus is on the man, the husband in this case, to show the wife that she can trust him again if he is indeed going to save his marriage. And so the wife's going to be watching, you know, and so maybe she notices that, you know what, he called a therapist and he's decided to meet with a therapist, and she's been telling him that he really needed to do that. So, you know, she gives him a few marbles. I put 3 in there. Maybe it's more, maybe it's less. But anyway, get some marbles. And now maybe she notices that he's being much more truthful. Even when it's not to his advantage, he's telling the truth. And that's a trustworthy thing. And so she gives him a few more marbles. And maybe he calls her and lets her know where he's going to be. When he's running late from work or whatever's going on. So she gives him a few more marbles. And now maybe, let's see, maybe he comes home and he's just super sweet. You know what, honey, you've had a hard day. Why don't I give the kids a bath and you just go and relax? Wow, that's nice. And so she gives him a few marbles. And over time, you know, more and more marbles are added to this jar and trust is building. Things are getting better, you know? And so, let's say, I don't know, 6 months have passed, you know? And so, you know, marbles are, well, I'm guessing this is about 1/5 of the way there. Maybe it's a little bit more, maybe a little bit less. And things are moving along. She's starting to get a little bit more trust. And then she just goes on his phone, just kind of check and make sure things are okay. And she sees a text to somebody who she doesn't know. And it's very flirtatious, very suggestive. And guess what happens? Almost immediately, even before she goes to him and asks. Yeah, they're gone again. And you know what? This time it's going to be even harder to fill up the marble jar because, you know, he's been going to a therapist and he still did it. So when he goes to his therapist, instead of getting 3 marbles, maybe he's only going to get 1. And when he tells the truth over something that could be hurtful, well, he's done that before and he still did this. So he'll get maybe 1 marble. And if he calls to tell her that he's running late from work, he'll get 1 marble. So you can see this is going to take a lot longer to fill up one at a time. You know, and it can seem like forever, like it's not fair if you're the one trying to earn back your trust because you're working hard and the change is almost imperceptible. But you have to understand that the person that you're married to or you're in a relationship with, they're trying to protect themselves from being hurt again. And so this is a really important process for them to figure out, is this going to be for the long term this time, or is this going to be one of those other things where I'm going to have to dump them all out again? You know? So it's really important to understand both what's going on and that this is something that's you're going to be in for the long haul, not just for, you know, a couple weeks or even a couple months. This is something that's going to take a while. If y'all succeed in building the trust back, it can be a beautiful thing, but it's a necessary process for you guys to go through. I hope this has been helpful because I think this really is a great little tool, and I've seen it work really well for my clients and their partners. Till next time, bye-bye.